Well, welcome everyone. We're here at City Hall in the City Manager's office, City Manager Roy Otto. And Roy, you asked to meet today with me to talk about something that's maybe a little bit on everybody's mind, and that is the city's budget,
Sure.
City of Greeley. So can you tell us a little bit about Greeley's current economic picture?
Sure. I get the question a lot from employees, people in the community, and a lot of times I think the source of that is, all right, we know there's a downturn in the oil and gas industry. Mm-hmm. How is that impacting the city budget and the like? There's also been some articles here recently in the Denver Post about the state economist discussion with the state legislature about the ending of their current fiscal year, the new budget for next year. Are we going into recession? Are we not going into recession?
Right,
there was an article that talks about maybe the main reason to determine whether or not the state goes into recession or not will be how agriculture and how oil and gas perform. Well,
Right.
what's the heart of agriculture and oil and gas in the state of Colorado? But
Yes.
it's Greeley and Weld County.
Right.
So there have been a lot of questions about, hey, where are we at with our budget, that type of scenario. So I think it's just important that we do our best to communicate with people on what our current estimates are on our budget, et cetera, and keep people in the loop.
All right, so there's no doubt that the budget and local economy have a lot of working parts in
Yes,
that.
it does.
So just to help myself out, and maybe some of our viewers, let's kind of break that down into a little bit more detail, a little more parts on that. So let's start with what's happening around general sales tax. But first, some examples of where those dollars or how those dollars are collected.
Sure. Well, from a sales tax perspective, obviously there's sales tax and general use tax, et cetera. We all know about the sales tax. When we go in and at Target and we buy something at Target, there's going to be a sales tax on that. Mm-hmm. And there's a portion of that goes to the state. But as it relates to us, a bunch of that will come to the city of Greeley. And in our general fund, it's by far our largest revenue source. So we always keep a very close eye on sales tax. How is that performing in reality in comparison to what we projected it to be doing? And the area of sales tax has come down fairly significantly in certain areas as it's tied into people in the oil and gas industry, in the use tax area, things along those lines. So that's come down, and we've seen now since basically, say, around last October, that the sales tax in comparison to the previous year has been less. And so that's obviously a concerning trend.
Sure.
The vast majority of that we've been able to isolate is in the oil and gas industry. As it relates just to normal consumer consumption, it's actually still had some growth in it.
Okay.
But when you compare that to previous years, it's significantly lower because the economy, if you will, was red hot.
Right.
At that time.
Sure.
So we're seeing a balancing out, and quite frankly, right now our estimates are that we'd be down in the range of maybe $2 million in 2016 from our original estimates in the area of sales tax as compared to what we originally thought was going to happen from that standpoint. So that's a concern to us, obviously.
Right, sure. Something that we have to look at and we have to plan for. Another area, and those details I was talking about, are franchise fees. And so the city actually receives revenue from utilities such as Atmos Energy and Excel via franchise agreements, which I didn't know much about until I started working here at the City of Greeley, but that income comes in. With the lower cost of electricity and gas, how's that going to impact our revenue category?
It's kind of good and bad news.
Yeah.
On the one hand, because the franchise fee is a percentage of what the actual bill is. If the bills are lower, you're going to bring in less revenue.
Right.
And I've been told that natural gas right now, as an example, is selling at prices similar to what it was in 1992. So imagine that. I mean, that's all great for us as it relates to our own homes. It's also great for us as it relates to how we're heating our buildings in the city because those expenses will go down.
Right.
But it also means less revenue. And so in this area, it's actually kind of a balancing. We see that there will be less revenue coming in, but we also see less expenses in our budget. So that actually kind of balances things out a little bit as we're looking at all of our revenue side and expense side and where are we at in our projection for year-end balance.
Okay, another piece of the puzzle is the auto sales tax.
And that's not Roy Otto.
That's right.
Correct. It's vehicles.
A-U-T-O.
Yes, yeah.
That was really good.
Thanks.
You get that all the time, right?
Yeah, I have,
okay. So over the past few years, local auto dealers have seen some excellent sales numbers.
Yes.
It seems like I'm always seeing people with new cars, except for me.
Yeah.
But that's
yeah.
okay. So tell us about auto sales tax.
Actually, that's an area that we consider to continue to see as an uptick. We're excited about that because one of the huge pushes in previous years was oil and gas industry buying a lot of trucks, things along those
Right.
lines, and that obviously was an area that helped us. We are estimating that we should be up in our revenues by about $350,000 from our original estimate right now on auto use tax, and so
Okay.
that's a positive area right now of
Right.
revenues to the city.
Okay, we'll take that.
Yep.
We like the positive.
Yep.
Okay, construction.
Yes.
Construction activity. Those stats are often quoted as one very good indicator of a city or a region's economic health. What does that picture look like for Greeley?
We're still doing well, but
Okay.
it's not as hot as it was last year. As an
Right.
example, by this time last year, we'd issued about 105 residential permits, new homes. We're at 78 right now. That's still above where we were at during the recession and the like.
Sure.
A little bit of it coming down. There are two major commercial projects that we think will be happening this year. One is
Okay.
the third phase of Luprino Foods that'll
Right.
bring in some building use tax, sales
Okay.
tax associated with that project. And also, if council approves the downtown hotel project, that'll be another large commercial project that will help us in that area. We're estimating being up a little bit potentially in those revenues.
Okay, awesome. So another area, there's so many of these. It's
Yes,
amazing.
there
You
are.
have to keep track of all of this.
Juggling.
I know this is the juggling. We have the
Yeah, here
the
we go.
balls
We'll
here on the
juggle
table.
these,
We
but I
won't
don't know how to
this.
juggle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's okay.
okay.
So another area, the Greeley Area Realtors Association is showing the current median single-family home price, including new and resale properties, is about $239,000. And not too long ago, that number was only $170,000.
Yep.
So what does that mean for home value increase in
Sure.
Greeley?
We get property tax, and again, property tax is based upon the value of a home.
Okay.
And so with higher property values, we anticipate higher property tax revenues coming in right now. Also, an element of that is the valuation of oil and gas, all right? And all property taxes are actually collected in arrears, if you will. So what's happening is we got obviously a nice positive trend in the housing market. That'll increase our revenues, but we know probably in 17, we're going to see a downturn on the oil and gas side. So 16, very good news. Again, about $500,000 more than what we budgeted, but it'll be a challenge as we move into the 17 and 18 budget preparation later this spring and summer. Those revenues will not be as high for our next budget that we prepare. But in 16, we should be better than what was anticipated.
Right. See, I don't always think that far ahead, the 2017 and 2018, and
I'm glad that
you're
we have
already
folks.
there.
I'm glad that we have folks in finance
great.
that do that. They're
But-
paid to do that for
yes,
us.
that's true. Well, and it's eye-opening too, because like you said, you don't always think about, it's like things are looking great right now, but you have to plan for 2 years, 5 years, even 20 years down the road,
Correct.
and making sure that we continue to thrive and do well and be a strong economy. Okay, so another area.
Okay.
You've mentioned oil and gas a couple of times.
You keep hitting me with all these
I know, I'm
curveballs
sorry.
being thrown at me and stuff here. All right.
So oil and gas was going strong last year, and we know that that has an impact, as you've already mentioned. Tell us about the severance tax category, which kind of has to do with all that oil and gas.
We were blessed because of the amount of oil and gas activity in Greeley and around Greeley to get a higher proportion of severance tax share back revenues from the state. In fact, last year we used some of that surplus to be able to buy the Safeway building to be the new site for our fire station, etc. We are obviously expecting less revenue now coming in from severance tax, and probably significantly less in the 2017 budget. So right now, probably about $500,000 less in this year than what we originally anticipated, and we're concerned that that'll be significantly less next year.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Voters had an opportunity, I like that, opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah, we had an opportunity last November to weigh in on two sales taxes that were specific to Greeley's needs. Give us a little reminder of what happened there and how does that revenue look, or how's it looking right now?
Citizens agreed to continue our food tax, which has been a primary revenue source for a number of years for our infrastructure maintenance. And we say that, everybody thinks roads. Clearly roads is one of those elements, but it's also this City Hall building, others. That's part of the reason for the whole city center complex is we want to get out of some older buildings and do a newer facility, reduce some of our expenses and maintaining square footage for our employees and the services that we provide to our citizens. They continued that, and the food tax is actually performing very, very well. We're seeing growth in food tax. That's good news. The Keep Greeley Moving Forward sales tax, which is now a dedicated sales tax just to road maintenance, is obviously in its first year. We're bringing in those sales taxes. As I said before, consumerism portion of our sales tax is still growing a little bit, so that's performing well, and we're in the process of moving forward with some of those projects. I'm happy to announce, for example, one of our biggest projects on the Keep Greeley Moving is the widening of 20th Street from approximately 73rd Avenue out to 83rd Avenue. That project has been bid, local contractor has been selected to do that work, and the bid is about $200,000 below our engineer's estimate. So not only are the revenues coming in good to be able to support that, but the contracting businesses out there, competitive bids helping us. So we're looking forward to those projects coming online this summer.
Great. Okay, so we covered a lot of areas, a lot of
we
little
have.
details. So can you give me an idea of what you, city staff, are thinking kind of overall with the news and the data and where we're at?
Well, we've been obviously blessed in the past, say, 3 years or so. We've had carryover funds, if you will, revenues in higher than expenses, ranging from about $12 million down to this past year, a little over $5 million, okay? Right now, in working with finance at the end of the first quarter, we're anticipating that carryover to be $300,000. So we are, in essence, on bubble, if you will, with our budget. And so I'm asking our employees to do their best to manage their budgets very wisely. Think seriously like what we've had in the past when positions are vacant. How critical is this position, et cetera, along these lines. We're probably going to go through a little period of time where we're going to have to be very wise, very, very prudent. Not that we aren't even in the good times, but it's just like your own personal budget. Think very closely about how we go about doing things. Continue to think how we efficiently get our services done, because there's going to be a period of time in Greeley's economy as well as the state economy where things are not going to be probably as robust as they were in the past 3 or 4 years.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll just continue to watch things, and of course we're only a few months into the year. This is just the beginning, and so I'm hoping that we can meet again maybe next quarter and give everyone an update and see where we're at that point.
We're happy to do that as it relates to this. I also would encourage our viewers, city employees, if there's other items that you'd like us to have a video chat about of issues that you have or whatever else, please get up with public information, suggest your ideas, and we'll take that into consideration and maybe do another talk on another subject.
Yeah, okay, we'll just keep talking.
All right, it's good to talk.
It is. It's good, just talk it out. So, and of course, if there's more details or information you'd like to ask, feel free to call City Hall, or you can get more at greeleygov.com. Thanks for watching.